Symposium is Tommy Cohen. By the name, I am Michael Barnett, and I'm chairing this event as well as coordinator. But Tommy Cohen, he started out in the music industry over 50 years ago, 1964 to be exact. He had his own group, and is still a part of the group actually, named the Jamaicans, who did songs such as Baba Boom, Time, Things to Say, Peace and Love, Sing Freedom, I Am Coming. Tommy Cohen owned and operated Talent Corporation at 1C Oxford Road from 1976, managing and distributing artists' music and producing some of the names including Beres Hammond, Jacob Miller, Inner Circle, Junior Tucker, Zach Howard, Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus. He also did distribution of Black Heart Man by Bonnie Wailer, which was released in 1976, Roadblock and Natty Dread by Bob Marley, and Babylon Kingdom, and Babylon Queendom, yes, sorry about that. And Legalize It by Peter Tosh, also released in the mid-70s. Today he runs Glory Music Productions, which are producers of Funny the Sun, Gospel Festival, which I'm sure many are familiar with. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Tommy Cohen to the podium to give his perspective on Tosh, the early years. So let's give it up for Tommy Cohen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just so glad to be here to share with you about our brother Peter Tosh. I know that Peter Tosh has touched many lives, and many persons would have had some experience with Peter Tosh, and some of the experiences you hear from time to time, some are just experience of what people read about Peter Tosh and the person he was and what he stood for and what were his values about life. But I just begin here by just a remembrance of Peter Tosh at a concert in Bermuda. It's a concert that I've not seen much about, because maybe a lot of folks did not know about this. But it was a concert in the National Stadium, and Peter Tosh, along with Ramsey Lewis and Richie Havens, were part of the artists who were performing. Ramsey Lewis actually did not get to perform the night, because what happened, they had brought in a grand piano for him. And while they were doing the sound check, without paying attention, the vibration of the sound had the piano rolled right off the stage, went over, and just broke up. Richie Havens, on top of his game, was performing, and he was performing before Tosh. And for some reason, Richie Havens seemed to have been performing, and people realized, because in Bermuda you have a curfew, and you realized that the curfew time was coming up, and the audience started saying, Peter Tosh, Peter Tosh, Peter Tosh. And for some reason, Richie Havens went into some kind of a trance. And he was there, and he just kept performing one song, and it just kept going and going, and until the security actually had to come and lift Richie Havens off. And then came Peter Tosh. After the third song, the time, it caught up. And the police decided that Tosh could perform no more. What happened there was that Tosh was ordered to leave the stage, and which he did, and he went backstage. There was about 12,000 people. I know reports said it was 18,000 people at that stadium that night. And those folks did not leave the stadium according to the orders of the police. Instead, they sat down on that field and they sang, "Down, Presser Man, where you gonna run to? Down, Presser Man, where you gonna run to? Down, Presser Man, where you gonna run to? Oh, on that day." And Tosh sang that song for around 15 minutes until a vibe that came over that stadium, and the police wrote an order that Peter Tosh would have continued his concert. And I think these are some of the reasons, and one of the reasons, why Peter Tosh was known as the Mystic Man. Peter was a man of truth. Peter was not a diplomat. Peter was straightforward. Peter was a man off stage as the same man on stage. And we've had some experiences with Peter and myself. Back in the day, we enjoyed a Sunday evening. I would drive with Peter up into St. Anne to look for a man called Champs. Champs was a man in Steertown, and in Steertown, Champs would save the best weed for Peter. So we would drive up there, highway. And also we'd drive down to a place called Boros, where a man called Deng Q Chan is passed. And he would save a herb for Peter called, they called it the Dettol at the time. It wasn't called anything else because he thought that when they broke the weed, it smelled like Dettol. Peter had a very, very deep concern about legalization of weed. But I think his concern was beyond just the smoking of weed. Peter thought that in the weed, there was enough in the weed tied to the herb is the healing of the nation. And he believed that this healing was about physical healing, spiritual healing, physical healing, financial healing. He thought there was enough in this herb to help the nation, help people to be educated, people to have a roof over their heads, people to get on in life. He challenged the system. He challenged the system in the legalization of weed for the betterment of his brothers and sisters. Peter felt himself as being one of those who were trampled on for the use of herbs. Very much so, because if anyone knew and saw what Peter's head looked like, and I saw that after he was beaten by the police when he was held in halfway tree for smoking weed, the stitches in his head looked more like something that was sewn up. That was how rough it was done. So when Peter was out there administrating, he was always there, and he saw his role as being a part of the oppressed. So, excuse me. So Peter, when I look at it, and even in today's world, and I see professors, and I see businessmen, and I see members of government, all now rally for the legalization and the development of medicines, etc. in ganja, marijuana, or herb. I wonder to myself and say, what is the benefit that Peter and his family will derive from it? Amen? That's right. Recently, Hillary Clinton, in her debate, the Democratic debate, spoke to the fact that it was crazy for people to be held in prisons for a split or for smoking marijuana, which she called very at the bottom of any form of criminalization, anything like that. And so I'm just saying that Peter really was that person who for many years sought to put it on the map. He did it at the World Music Festival in Montego Bay, where he had a 17 minutes lecture more or less on stage. He did it in Bermuda. He did it at the One Love Peace concert that was at the National Stadium. And just to correct some of the, and later on we probably can talk about that, that was a concert that I produced under the final instructions of Bob Marley. The One Love Peace concert, let me just put it this way. I saw where it was said, or it is said, in the film of Marley, that the politicians wanted to have unity between the warring JLP and PNP groups, and they asked Marley to do this. This was not so. Marley was in more or less exile in England, and in England with him was a man called Claude Mossop from Tivoli Gardens. Mossop called me in Jamaica and said to me, Tommy, Bob Marley is coming home, and I think it would be just appropriate and would be great if we could just have a concert with Bob Marley, because he was thinking just of a concert. And after that, Bob called me and said to me, you can do it? I said, yes, I can do it. And he says, go and see Dan Johnson at Tough Gum. She was the lawyer for Bob. And well, he came home, we had a greeting, we met at the airport and everything. And then we thought of it. We would have wanted the youths to unite. So we called up on the youths of Tivoli, and then we went over to Bucky Marshall and their group over there, and the group that was on Mountain View Avenue, and we brought them together. So as we brought these groups together, the thing started to grow in our minds. What's happening here? And Bob said, let's get the church involved. So we went and we had Abaman Defro from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. He was a priest, and to head it, because we know when we have something like this coming together, the naysayers will be there, and so we wanted the covering of the church. So the next move was to unite the Rasta sects of Jamaica. The different groups, the groups that were in St. Anne, in St. Thomas, and the 12 tribes of Israel, and so forth. I went to see Prince Emmanuel, and Prince Emmanuel said he would wait. He said not to rush, because it has been 400 years. All this time I was still understanding some of this. And so he said, so we had all the groups of Rastas came in together. Then the thought, because what would happen? We have the PNP and JLP together, we have Rastas thinking together. What about the Whalers? Because the Whalers, which is Peter, Bob, and Buddy, were not seen eye to eye. And we would have needed to get them together. Now, what was happening here, Bob was not going to do that himself. So I was given that job. to do. So I went and went to St. Thomas and I saw Bunny, Ben Bunny on the road. He was, aggravated a little bit and said, well, all right, I talk, and kind of brushed me off and left. Then I decided, I went back to Bob, and Bob says, all right, as long as you weren't quarreling and stuff, we'll see it work out. And then says, go to Peter Tosh. So Claude Massop and myself went to Peter Tosh. And he came out, he said, what peace concert? Peace where? And he looked at Massop. And he says, peace? You want peace? Huh? You want peace? I tell you, the only piece you will get is 6'6". Master said, what's that? It says 6'6", rest in peace. And so we left, and the rest is history. We saw where we had the concert, and all that took place there, the gangs coming together, Eddie Siag and Michael Manley coming together. And the One Love Peace concert went down as one of the top 10 concerts in the entire history of music business. So just wanted to make some points here. And one of the things too, I remember I had Peter Tosh. I had recorded albums with Ras Michael and the Sons of Lagos. Naya Bingi, Rastafari, Kibera, Amlak. And when we did Rastafari, which included songs such as Nana Jaja Children No Cry, A New Name Jagat, and It's Terrible Among Men, Birds in the Treetop, all of these songs. We asked Peter Tosh to play, and Peter Tosh played on that album, and Peter, I went to Peter and said, what is the cost for you to have played on the album? I said, play on this album, nobody can pay me to play Rasta music. Rasta music have no price, Rasta music have no price. But Peter Tosh was that man who challenged the government, he challenged the church, he challenged the intellectuals to the needs of the poor people, because he was not a diplomat and he identified with it. Thank you so much.
In the music industry, managed Luciano, is the manager of Luciano still, Gregory Isaacs, and so many artists to speak of. So he has a plethora of perspectives in terms of the in-the-scene situation with the music industry, behind the scenes, and so forth. Information about coming out very soon. Without further ado, let's welcome Copeland Fox to the podium.
My test is one. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. You know that I have that line, that introduction, because everywhere I go in the world, people remember that line of introduction. And I searched the internet and found about 35 of them, introducing Peter. So people recognize the voice. Everywhere I go, I say, you're the one that did the introduction. I said, yes. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here for this once again Peter Tosh Symposium. This, when I was called to do it, honestly I tell you that I was not available because I should right now be in Zimbabwe and Thailand. But I decided that I'm going to do this one this year because this is going to be my last one in Jamaica for a long time, because come next year I'm taking it And everyone knows that he was an advocate for that. And there's a special reason why I wanted to do this one too. Because I'm going to take it down memory lane and do it fast. As I said, first I thought it was 60 minutes and 45 minutes. So I'm going to take it from then right up to present. So you can get a pen, pencil, everything ready. Because you're not going to see this again for a long while. And the reason, as I said, why I really want to do this one again is because last year I wasn't here because it was right at the time when one of my artists, John Wood, passed, and I was running all over the place thinking about things first. I couldn't be here. But I saw a video, of last year's symposium, and there were two speakers here that did some things that up to now heard me. We went into it later, because we read about everything that they say and prove it on the screen, that it's fabricated. Okay? Alright. I'm talking about Peter's legacy from Keshishuli to legalize it. But when you say legalize, not really the album legalized, but that came out in 76. To legalize it, which means marijuana that is happening right now. Right? I was in Seattle not long ago, and I saw in the paper where after the legalization they made $11 million in 4 days from legalizing of marijuana there. And I said, well, I want Jamaica get even half of this. But we won't get to that. So without further ado, we're going to start from then until now. And I'm going to read very fast because it's 62 pages. I really prepared for this one. As I said, I've been no more in Jamaica for a good while. You're going to see it around the world. So we're going to start out with the early days to the present and take you through even some of Tommy Cohen's experience at Talent Corporation. That's what Peter is to have. Yes, we're on scam this now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the years, the things that I've done will involve in the artists that I've worked with and so on. I'm not going to take much time on that, that's not about me. Next page. Okay, we have some very significant moments in the history of reggae music, and these are some of them that I actually took part in, I was a part of. Tosh's tour of Swaziland in 1983, Jimmy Cliff historic tour of South Africa in 1980, when I was crazy enough to take entertainers down there under the apartheid regime, but we were playing for black promoters in Soweto, right? Then we go down to the Reggae Sunsplash African Tour, 1988, where I took 120 people from here, touring 16 countries in Africa. That was the tour that Rabbit Tree didn't come back. Then President Obama's inauguration in Washington, D.C., where I was called upon to present reggae artists at the ball. So I had Cocoa and Marcel Griffiths there performing, right, next page. George. Now, this is one of the standout things with Peter in Swaziland. We went to Swaziland. It was on the front page of the Times, and this was the welcome on the front page of the paper. Don't you? Next. This is inside the stadium where we performed, and we had over 30,000 people. And when Peter opened up apartheid, we're going to fight against apartheid with his M16 guitar. There was about 5,000 people outside who couldn't afford the $5 to get in. And what happened is that I think his girlfriend went and whispered something in his ears. I didn't know what was said, but Peter stopped the show. And all I hear is, they must open the gate and let in everybody outside, else he's not going any further. So the people outside heard, and believe you me, they stormed the gate of the stadium, so they had to open the gate and let them in. So another 5,000-10,000 came in. And that was a historic day. And when he started singing and took up his M16 guitar, that was something to behold, and I still have the recording until this very day. Next. One moment that always stands out is Peter Tosh's historic tour with the Rolling Stones. And this tour actually exposed him to audience in excess of 200, 300,000. And this was after the peace concert when Mick Jagger and Keith Richards was there. And because of his performance, you know, they liked what they saw and they decided to sign him and to their label and took him on tour that year. So that was Peter playing to thousands of people. Next. This is a little history of him, where he was born. He's the only child of Miss Elvira Cook. She's now deceased. He's a self-taught musician where he taught himself to play the guitar and the keyboards. Surprisingly, he plays a lot of keyboards on some of his records, and people don't even know that, right? He came into Kingston at the tender age of 15 and ended up in Trenchtown. I had a video with him actually narrating the whole story, but we don't have time to play. But after this, we can play it so you can look at it. But when he came in, he met Bonnie Whaler and Bob. Bob and Bonnie actually was living on Oxford Street because, as most of you know, or don't know, I can tell you that Bonnie's father had a relationship with Miss Booker, right, where she had a child for him. So Bonnie's called Bob half-brother, right? And Pearl Livingston, sometimes was Pearl Livingston, was Pearl Marley, but she's sister of both of them. And Thaddeus, Bob, Bonnie, and Miss Booker, they lived on Oxford Street, while Bonnie was going to Shetula Park School with myself and Marcia Griffith. So we go a long, long way, right? So the family structure started from way down. So when they came into Trenchtown, so we're jumping fast, they decided to form this group. They didn't know what to call themselves. So at first they called themselves the Teenagers. Joe Higgs from Higgs and Wilson lived in the area, and he took them over to start to give them voice lessons and to teach them the structure of harmonies, because those were imitating Temptations and Curtis Mayfield and all that stuff. So they got good training, right? Now it actually started out with the three that we all know. Then Beverly Kelso. First it was Cherry Smith first, you know. But Cherry had a baby and she was working, so she couldn't attend all the rehearsals. So while they were going to the rehearsals, Beverly was recruited in. So they had the three boys, right, the two girls, and then Junior Brathwaite was there too, right? So they called themselves, after the Teenagers, they moved on to call themselves the Wailing Wailers, right? And as you know, Peter always said to wail is because they're living in the ghetto, so to live in the ghetto and to sing and wail was one of their priorities. Then, you can move it over now. Okay, that's them, three boys and Beverly Kelso, right? Cherry just couldn't keep up because of the baby, but she was in, she was out. But the actual recording of Simmer Down was done with the four of them that you see right there. And then after that, Junior Braithwaite took the lead on The Earth to Be Alone. Now, they're all great singers. So, Peter can lead, Bob can lead, and Junior Braithwaite can lead. Next. Now, during that time, I don't want to go into it because I see some things on the internet in the last 2 weeks, you know, it's so crucial, you know. But Peter was the musician of the group, so they used to go from 2nd Street, come across Ambassador Theatre, come through the burial ground, and come come up by Calvary Cemetery and to go around to Brentford Road to catch the student. You know, so they do that every day, up and down, up and down. And then we all know Rita and Peter was friendly first, and then Bob came in the picture, right? And secretly they got married. None of the Whalers knew that Rita and Bob was going to get married. Not even Peter, not even Bonnie. Nobody knew. But one person knew, was John Wood. He was the one that drove them to what's the name of that? Not Jim Lawrence. That person I used to go to, not a church. I forget the name of the person, I just won't tell you. Right? And they got married. So when they got married, Bob left shortly after because his mother had filed for him, you know. So he went up. When he went up to the States, they were left here. So Vision, which is Constantine Walker, which is Rita's cousin, I used to sing with Rita as a soloist. Right? He came into the group and he was filling in while Bob was away. So while Bob was away, they kept the fire burning by doing a lot of rehearsals. And then Bob came back after about 6-7 months. So when they came back, a lot of songs were being released with them. And they took on the name the Wailing Rude Boy Wailers because they were doing songs now with the overtone of Rude Boys. When Desmond Decker said, "The Malou, the Mashoot, the Mawera, Shanty Town, Rude Boy, the Compilation." They come back with, go to the next one. They come back with songs like Put It On, Walk the Proud Man, My Friend, Rude Boy Star, Jailhouse Get Empty, Rudy Come From Jail, and all the songs that had overtones of Rude Boy. So they were called sometimes the Wailing Rude Boy Wailers, right? After that, then the pace gets a little tougher. So the ladies, Junior Bradford migrated to Chicago, experienced St. Firm, and Junior Bradford was the lead singer on It Hurts to Be Alone, which is that song that was arranged by Ernie Ranglin with that fantastic guitar solo. So Junior Bradford was the lead singer then. He migrated, then the girls dropped out, so it was left down to the three soldiers, right? So that was the picture that was circulating in the Rude Boy days now, of the Wailing Rude Boy Wailers. So what happened is that hits are coming out, but they're still getting £7 a week, and no more than that. If they borrow 10 shillings from Paxson, they don't get at the end of the week. So they decided that they're going to leave and go out on their own and form their own label, which was their own label. The first song they recorded was Freedom Time. Then they went in and did Bend Down Low, Nice Time, Mellow Mood, Thank You Lord. And these were songs that was all on their own label, Wailing Soul. Right? So they're spitting out things on their own, set up a little shop up at Greenwich Park Road, and Rita was riding bicycle all around, distributing records here, there, and they're doing their own little thing. Right? So during that time now, those days if you get caught with a split, they're going to prison. So what happened is that Bonnie, it is alleged that, was found with a split, and he went to prison on them days, and they sent him for 18 months. Tampering from when they gone. So Bonnie was sent off. So when Bonnie was gone after service time, the two of them was left there. But what happened is that Mortimer Planner met this gentleman named Danny Sims, who came down here with Johnny Nash, to get away from some stuff in the United States. So they brought them to Bob and to Peter. And they felt that, yes, they could do some stuff for them, but it was to get away from the feds in America. I finally knew that working with Danny Sims. And then what happened is that Bonnie served this time, so when Bonnie was away, Rita came in the group, was singing in the Wailers too, right? Go to the next page. This is Danny Sims. That's Johnny Nash over there. Johnny Nash bought a house in Cherry Garden, and that's where he set up headquarters, and the Wailers were there every day, up and down. They did rehearsals there. Go to the next page. And here you can see Rita, right there in the middle with Bob and Peter, right? And this happened while Bunny was in prison. You know, when Bunny came out, he was wondering what was happening because he, as he said, he looked at like a rejection because when they go into prison, they don't know when they're coming back. So all of the stuff that they recorded was packed up in an outside toilet up at Auntie's house at Greenwich Park Road, where Rita was living. You can see on the right hand side here is that when Bunny came out, they all were rehearsing and singing up at Danny Sims' house up in Cherry Garden. And that's where most of those recordings that Danny Sims have with a whole bunch of albums came from that session. But these were just rehearsals and not to be released, but they later came out as songs. But Danny Sims was the one in charge then, and he recorded all of the session that was done up in Cherry Garden at the house, right? Now, what had happened now, they decided that they're gonna, Danny Sims took Bob to Sweden, right? Because he found out that Bob was a good writer. Took Bob to Sweden to write some songs for Johnny Nash, because Johnny Nash was starred in a movie. So he left them again here, right? So between Rita, Bunny, you know, and Peter, they kept the group going just the same way. And then when Bob came back from England, from Sweden, he stopped off in England and spent a little time there with Johnny Nash writing some songs, and Johnny Nash decided to record some of Bob's songs. So they decided that they're gonna do some work with Scratch. Lee Scratch Perry was working at Coxsone Studio while they were at Coxsone Studio. So when they split from Coxsone, right, Scratch decided to work with them and produce them, but he never had a studio, so he had to take them back to Coxsone Studio. And Coxsone didn't know until one day he came at the studio and saw the Wailers inside here and asked him what they're doing inside here, and Peter said, we build this place. And Peter never been cutlass, and Coxsone rest the man on him 38, and nobody could move. So anyway, they eventually did recordings with Scratch. Go to the next page, right? And these are the albums that actually were done. Soul Revolution and Soul Rebel. And that was when people started to see the rebel in the Wailers now. You know, and they took some pictures with some guns. People were wondering where they got these guns from, but it was just for picture, it wasn't for anything else. Next. So now, they are recording with Scratch. They did some recording for Leslie Kahn, and then Leslie decided to put out an album named The Best of the Wailers. But they told him they can't put out the best, and we're just starting, and the best is yet to come. If you put out the best of the Wailers, judgment is going to reach you. And he decided to put it out, and then Leslie Kahn had a heart attack and died. The Wailers have some powerful moments in the career. Anyway, Danny Sims decided to take them to England to open for Johnny Nash on the tour with Johnny Nash, because Johnny Nash recorded songs like Cupid, Hold Me Tight, Stir It Up, I Can See Clearly, Go Over Jelly, Chairs on My Pillow. So he was recording a lot of reggae songs, and as a black American from Texas, he was getting major airplays on FM stations and big stations across the US. I was living in New York, and then time one time you hear like a reggae is on Saturday from WWRN in New York, you know, before WLI came into play. So you have to wait till weekend to hear the reggae, but when you hear the ABC radio playing reggae, it's Johnny Nash singing Bob Marley's songs. So he's getting the airplay. So Johnny Nash was now known as the king of reggae. And he was the king of reggae for a while. Nobody knew of Bob Marley as yet. So they took them to England to open for Johnny Nash. And they were so strong that they were upsetting Johnny Nash that trouble started. And what happened is that Danny Sims fled the United Kingdom and left them there stranded. Next. While they were there, the guy who was the road manager, Brent, he decided to arrange a meeting with them and Chris Blackwell because they wanted to find out about their royalties because Coxsone was sending the records over to Ireland, but they were just getting the same £7 a week. So they decided to arrange a meeting with Chris Blackwell to talk about royalties. Incidentally, I invited him here, so you may see him walking in a minute, you know, Chris. So when they went there, Chris was taken aback because they walked in very vigilant and they just wanted to talk about royalties, but he liked what he heard about how they approached. So he made a deal with them right on the spot, right? And he advanced them some money, right? £4,000. People tell Christian, man, you will never see them again, you will never see that money again, because these are some rude boys from Jamaica. But somehow he said he felt comfortable because they walking like stars, and they knew what they wanted to do, but they basically wanted to do it on their own terms. So he gave them the money and arranged for them to go back to Jamaica. So they went back to Jamaica and recorded the album, Catch a Fire, right? Blackwell came to Jamaica a few months later, called them up and asked them, you know, he would like to come in here. And he went over and listened. Those albums recorded between 3 studios, Dynamics, Randy's, and RJ, right? And when he went and he listened, he was very surprised of what he heard. He heard something that really was very good for the market and something new. Because this is the first time he's actually working with a Jamaican band versus singers. Right, you can move to the next one. You have the raw track here, and over here you have the tracks with the overdubs that made it sweet and to fit in to the international market. Let's go to the album was packaged, right? I hope you can hear the speaker. The album was packaged like a cigarette lighter. Let's go back one. Come on. Let's go back one. Back in here. The album was packaged like a cigarette lighter, right? But they did only 20,000 of those because what happened? People were complaining when they opened it up, the cover rip off. So they only printed 20,000 copies, right? And just put that into circulation. Then they switched to that one in the middle there, which is a picture that was taken by Esther Anderson, who took those pictures and they used that. So it came up on that jacket. But this was a jacket that people are still trying to get because it's like a collector's item. All right, you can shift over now. Anyway, the album was finished. The album was finished, and Chris set up a tour for them, right? The tour started in April, as you can see, in Southampton, right? And it lasted for over 30 days or more. They played just about everywhere. It was their first ever tour by a Jamaican group. Right, next. At the end of the tour, as you can see, Bonnie was upset and unhappy with the ending result due to financial outcome of the tour. He decided to quit the group and return to Jamaica, while the rest of the tour was scheduled to go on in the United States. Let's go to the next one now. No, the next. No. Yeah, this one. Go back, you're going too far. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Yeah. Okay, so the tour moved over to the United States, right? Where it started in Boston at a place named Paul's Mall, where they did 6 nights, 2 shows a night. As you can see here, Joe Higgs replaced Bonnie Whaler. Joe Higgs replaced Bonnie Whaler because Bonnie Whaler left the group and the tour had to go on in the United States. So they started up in Boston, so Joe Higgs at the bottom left over there too, right? And they did 6 days, 2 shows a night, then came down to New York. Next. Now, when I got into New York now, that's where I was introduced to the Wailers by Danny Sims and a journalist named G. Fitzbartley, because I was touring with Johnny Nash, who was the king of reggae, performing on Soul Train and promoting reggae music. So they brought me to him, you know, and I joined the team. And that's when I actually started working with the Wailers, which was right there in this was 1973. So after doing Soul Train, right, I came off and I joined the group and started touring with them. Next. Now this is where the most important part is, because we played New York at a place named Max Kansas City, opening for Bruce Springsteen, and I guess they didn't know who the Wailers were, right? So when the Wailers performed that night, Bruce Springsteen just was confused. Matter of fact, he didn't want to come out for the second show, you know, but the Wailers really put down a show that night. So the next thing now is that we left and we went on touring with Sly and the Family Stone. We were opening acts for Sly and the Family Stone, but guess what? I think they mistook the name the Wailers because there was another Canadian group named the Wailers at the time. So a lot of people thought it was that group, but didn't realize who these Wailers were. But what was happening, that the show was so strong and healthy that Sly and the Family Stone couldn't take it. And then what they did when we got to Las Vegas, we get up one morning and the bus was gone. Everybody was left stranded. Still outside the hotel there, right? They're just gone and just leave everybody stranded out there. We didn't know what to do. There was confusion. Bob was talking to his mother down in Delaware, and this guy named Lee Jaffe was there, and he was taking pictures like crazy. As you can see everybody outside the hotel there in Las Vegas. That's a ticket, $5 at that time to go in. Next. So what happened then is that the new album was set to release in October 19. So they continued touring the West Coast. And then there was a guy named Gus Brown, who was a Jamaican lawyer living in California. He decided that he's going to come out and help the group. So he went around soliciting the Wailers to different promoters. And he went to a place named the Metrics. Go to the next one. Right? The guy who ran the Metrics, right, I tell him that this group, the Wailers, is a fantastic group. And they can do it. So what the guy did is kick off all the groups and that was scheduled to perform that weekend and put on the Wailers. And when the Wailers performed, it was a knockout, you know, the news started to spread that the Jamaican group is creating havoc all over the place. And Capital Radio came in and came to some of the sessions and some of them recorded some of them, and then they decided to go behind them and promote them to the mass. Now they go to the next page. The tour continued in the US until early November. Then headed off to the UK, back to the UK. Burning album came out now. Some of the shows got cancelled because Peter took ill. Peter got ill at that time, so some of the shows got cancelled. The tour resumed in Blackpool in November 23rd. and then it ended abruptly on November 30th because a lot of snow was falling, and the boys didn't used to that kind of weather. So they decided that, it's too much, so they're gonna go home, so they returned home. When they returned home, that was when Peter decided to split from the group. Now, Chris Cumming will explain that part, but I can tell you what happened is that he was saying, this one wanted to tour, then he didn't want to tour, then they said yes, then they said no, so he couldn't work with that. So he was the one who actually, told Bob to just take the front and just be the lead, and they just formed the band around him as the Wailers. So he admits, and if he comes, he will tell you tonight that it was him. So Peter came back, recorded Keshi Shubi, Margaret, all those singles, he was doing some recording for Joe Gibbs recordings through the Oh Mama, What You Gonna Do and all that stuff. They regrouped twice in that time. Once when the Jackson 5 came to Jamaica, they got back together, right, and did a performance. And the other time was when Marvin Gaye came to Jamaica. Then they got together and do a performance. And then everybody went their ways. Go to the next. Peter now decided to concentrate on his first album, right, which, as Tommy said before, legalized it until it started around Talent Corporation, The song was banned on radio, but it was played a lot in the dance and underground. So it became an anthem for everybody was singing it. So he did that album for CBS Records, right, and he went out and toured. He formed his own group, which at the time had Sly, Robbie, Al Anderson, Donald Kinsey, and a little crippled guy named Tarzan who played keyboard. That was the word Sound and Power first. So he went out and he promoted that album and legalized it. Was just all over the place. When you go to England, everybody, Virgin Records was fighting to get it for that territory also. So now, comes, as Tommy said in what's the next one? I'm moving fast. 78, which was when Bob decided to come home after his exile, right? And incidentally, I find the poster for the One Love concert, I still have it. And that's the concert Tommy was talking about that was staged inside the stadium, right? I know for sure they were trying to get the Wailers to perform as a group, but I remember, I never forget, I was standing in Tough Gum when I heard Bonnie say, well, it's not the politician called peace, it's the people, and he's not going to be a part of it. So Bob decided to perform solo, Peter decided to perform solo. And unlike what I heard a speaker said last year, a learned one was talking about he was at the meeting planning the peace concert. The meeting was held at Tommy Cohen's house. I was living in the gallery. Every meeting for the peace concert was held there. And nothing that the speakers came here last year and spoke about it was pre-arranged and pre-planned to call up the warring factions and to call up Michael and Seala and Inner Circle to call them up. I spoke with Inner Circle last week. I sat down and had them tape at it to counteract what this learned one was telling them last week. It's all fabricated. Tommy, was he there at that meeting that night? Okay, and his Tommy was in charge of the meeting. So he came here and telling them one bag of bullshit last year, right? You see. But Tommy was the one in charge of that. I was at that meeting at night. I was living in the gallery, and every night I go over and sit down, Claude Master, Bucky Marshall, everything. And at that peace concert, we all know what happened. Peter made a hefty speech, in front of all the officials and things and so on. When I went on that, we moved past that. After that, the Rolling Stones, which was Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, taking on to what they saw, decided to take him on to their label, and sign him to their label. I think I see Herbie just walking somewhere. Where is Herbie? Yes, Herbie, yes. Herbie was the manager then, right, for Peter at that time. And they went on a tour with the Rolling Stones. And I tell you, that was a historic tour because some things happened on that tour which people, I don't think some Jamaicans even know. Because, well, that's Mick and Peter up by Strawberry doing the video for Walk and Don't Look Back. Right, go to the next page. And this is one of the concerts that he performed at, you know. But something happened on that tour that you Jamaicans didn't know. Go to the next one. And Peter was on tour, Bob was on tour. Peter had a night off. Bob was in town in California performing. So he decided to go down to the show to watch the show. Now this is the first time Peter and Bob will see each other for a long time. So Peter was standing on the side watching the show, and when Bob went in to get up, stand up, which you know Peter co-wrote, there's a line that Peter having it, is sick and tired of the ism schism. So what happened is that Peter just walked out on the stage and just took the mic and just started singing his part of the song. You know, and Bob just turned around and said, "That's Peter Tosh." You know, and both of them put down a show that night. I even have the night recorded, but I don't have time to really play it now. To hear. The live recording is something to behold, you know. No, but so much video I put here about this thing not playing it, I don't know why. You know. Anyway, go to the next one. So see both of them here, laying it down together. And I'll tell you the historic thing that happened that night. Because when they finished performing, they went inside the dressing room and they slapped fists together and said, "The Pope feel the one there." And 3 days later, the Pope dead. No, it's seriously, right away. Yeah, 3 days later, the Pope dead. You know, so the wheelers, them have a certain power that they're moving with that. You couldn't tell Lezekan, don't put up the album, it's judgment where he reaches, and he have a heart attack and die. Tell this one, then slap face and said, "The poor feel one day," and he died 3 days later. You know, so it's powerful, some powerful brothers. Right? Anyway, go to the next page, and you will see the exact words. You know, that so the poor feel one day. As if they were sending a message to the Pope, and he died 3 days later. The Rolling Stones tour continued until about July 26, ending in Hope and Coliseum. And after the tour, Tosh and his group, World Sound and Power, headed back to Jamaica. Later in the year, you know the incident which happened with Tosh outside after three, where he was waiting on Sly and Robbie. And Peter narrated that whole thing to me, right? He said he was standing out there with a spliff in his hand, and a plainclothes man come up and grab his spliff from him, and he grab it back from him. And the man grab it from him, and he grab it back from him. So if another man come on and start to manhandle him, and then a police jeep come on and realize the police, right? So the guy, Peter said the guy took out his gun and just after him to run it after his head. But you know, Peter studied karate, you know, and do some of the karate moves on stage. So he got out of the way and the gun tear out the policeman's face. So they walked to half a tree, and he said when he walked into half a tree, the man in charge of the station and he said, "Corporal bro, how you blood up, sir?" And he said, the man said, "No, the train mash me down." And Peter said, "From him here, the train mash me down." He said, they put him in a room, and about 10 policemen beat him unconsciously. He said they beat him so much that he tried to go through a window, because you know Peter slim. And he was when half his body was in the window and the other half out. They take a chair and take him right over him back. So he just dropped on the ground, and he had to play dead to be alive. And he said because his head was busted, he had to turn his head to the wall because he couldn't take another blow. Let's go to the next one and you'll see what I'm talking about. Right, pitching him right. See, his hand was broken up. This is his head that Tommy was talking about with the stitches. he had 46 stitches in his head, right? So they really wanted to really demolish him, you know. And he said to me that after that peace concert speech, you know, he said he was getting some vibe that his name was on a list to be rubbed out, and he couldn't understand it, right? And this is as a result of what happened. He was beaten badly, and he was beaten just before a tour in Europe. So he had a tour lined up to go to Europe, and this happened that we thought that the tour was going to be cancelled, but he decided that he was going to go just the same. So he got mended, and he decided to head out on the road and head on the tour. The Mystic Man wanted Dread and Alive between 1979 and 1980. Move on. We move faster. These are the 3 albums that he did for the Rolling Stones record, right? Mystic Man, Bush Doctor first, Mystic Man, and Wanted, Dread and Alive, right? Which in 1981, that one came out, so 78, 79, and 81. And that was the last album that he actually did for the Rolling Stones. Okay. The Tosh family who just arrived, you know. He just had a meeting with Peter in Jamaica, and he decided that he's going to work back with Peter. So I told him, well, I've been working with Peter from Herbie days. So what happened is that we came back to Jamaica, and then we all hooked up, and we had a meeting down at the Sheraton Hotel, right? And Danny Sims brought in some heavyweights from the US, you know, Norway Walters, Mark Christine, Bill Underwood, Tommy Bistola. There was some heavy man in the business. And this was in order to invest some money in some of the artists. Peter was one of them. Jimmy Cliff, MonaMedia, and a group named Native that Danny Sims had. You know, so they decided to spend about $750,000 US on the artists, and everybody was supposed to get $500,000 up front. Well, after a couple of weeks, Bonnie said, boy, I don't like the smell of this, so Bonnie was the first one out. he was gone, right? And the rest remained. Peter remained, Jimmy remained, and Native remained, and Danny Sims was there working like crazy. Now, come 82, Peter was suffering from some headaches, constant headaches, so he said he wanted to go to Africa to see a bush doctor. So because when we were in Cuba, we ran into Sonny Okison, which is a Nigerian juju singer. He invited us and said we can come down to Nigeria and he would take us to a bush doctor. So in 82, we went to Nigeria, and he saw a bush doctor, and a lot of things went on down there. I can't talk some of them now, right? But if they can go down, they come back still, right? And I was there. Just me and him alone was there. But anyway, we went. A tour was put together. That's that brown case. The brown case, yeah. A tour was put together in 1982. When everybody said to me that I am crazy to put a tour together with a Muslim and a Rastaman. And I said, what do you mean by that? Because this tour was a tour with Jimmy Cliff and Peter Tosh, you know. But I did it. Here's a posters, you know, people said it couldn't happen, and it did happen. You know, this was one of the most historic tour, but I can't tell you much about COVID at the time. But the tour went down 1982. And then throughout 82, we toured the United States, and then in the end of 82, they had the World Music Festival. Peter performed in it that year, along with some big artists, Rick James, and you name it, right? Just keep moving on. Yeah.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah, the Grateful Dead was on the show, because I remember Peter said you should be grateful to be alive, right? Jimmy Cliff, yeah, they went on the tour. That's it there, right? That's the World Music Festival over there. That's the Grateful Dead and Peter and Jamaica and Rita at the press launch. Go to the next one, right? In the end of 1982, Buddy Wheeler decided to put on a show named Youth Consciousness. Jacko? Is Jacko that doing? Oh boy, glad to have him on. Yeah. Youth Consciousness, Jacko work on Youth Consciousness. So that's the show in December 1982, Youth Consciousness, right? Now we go over to 83, move on. 83, now what happened now is that we recorded an album named Mama Africa 82, and 83 was the year when it was released, right? We did Saturday Night Live with David Letterman, you can see it over there on the right hand side. And this was a time when the new band was formed with Santa Davis, Fully Fullwood, Steve Golden, Dreamy Vision, because Lion Robbie was out working now with Lucky Uru. Next, let's go to five. Yeah, Robin was still there and Sterling. They were the two original ones that way. So that year we started in Australia. That's Peter, we call it Mama Africa tour. We started in Australia. And we got to Australia, and on the front page it was said that Peter was traveling with 4,000 pounds of marijuana because he needed while he was down there, because we were spending 4 weeks down there. You know, so everywhere we go, people were just looking at us, wondering if we have this stuff with us, but not even a split. Anyway, let's move on. So throughout that year, we toured Europe, US, and then we ended in Swaziland in December. And that show is something we have to talk about in the next forum. But it was 2 days of great concert, trust me, you know. And this was like the last show for Peter outside of Jamaica, right? This was December 1983. So we ended 83 in Swaziland, and then we headed back to Jamaica for the next one, which was Reggae Super Jam, right? Which was held at the National Stadium. The promoters was Pulse, Katie Cooper from Pulse. And this was a show which, it was the last show. Nobody knew it was going to be the last show for Peter in his entire life. But this was the last show that Peter did anywhere on the planet Earth, right? And we didn't know that. But there were so many things happening that night. There was problems, there were arguments. Peter's girlfriend and Donald Kinsey getting an argument over t-shirts, some foolishness that Donald Kinsey was going home. I should beg him to stay. And he played a concert that night. And one thing about that concert, Jacko was there and Jacko was working on that show, is that the journalists said it was one of the best shows they said Peter do, but they were disappointed. And what they were disappointed with, they came expecting to hear the 4-letter words. Because Peter usually curses on stage, and Peter decided that he's not going to be ranted on the stage. He just let the music spoke for itself. And it's gone as one of the best shows that he has done, right? Go to the next page so we can see it. See him there on stage at Super Jam, where he unleashed his MC, one of the items inside there. But this is the M16 guitar, which was made by a little 16-year-old youth who brought it to us in California and asked me to give it to Peter because, you know, he fights for the oppression. He fights against apartheid, but he cannot do it with a gun, so he gave him a musical gun. And Peter was proud to have it, you know, he sleeps with it in his bed, you know. So this was the last show that Peter did. On the 84 and 87, there was a lot of stuff that was planned and had to cancel. The Brazilian tour, we had a tour in Brazil. I mean, this Brazilian promoter almost had a heart attack. He came to Jamaica, sat down and watched Super Jam, you know, and he said it's a fantastic show. And then after Super Jam, he was told that Peter had to cancel it. A lot of people around him telling him he must stop tour and come off the road. It was so much problems. I was losing my mind at the time. But Bonnie came with an idea to do a Whalers reunion with Peter, Bonnie, Brad Wade, Vision, and intersect of Bob. right? We had a show out in California with Juju's star from Nigeria, Fela Kuti. That was cancelled. There was a mash-up incident between the same guy who was here talking last year and talking about him breach. You know who was here last year when it come to air his dirty laundry in front of here, and Peter just Symposium and talk about him breach. And you know, Peter is not here to defend that.
Judgment field.
You see? And his breach is that he said it here because I have it on the video from last year that he slept with Peter's wife while we were on tour. And he was here in the Symposium talking about it last year. And he was worried about his breach. But one thing he didn't tell him that Peter chopped him up with some cutlass. And I was wondering why he got chopped up. You know, and it's last year, I know after 28 years, what really happened. Because he came right here and said it. You know, so it get too chopped up from Peter. Right? There was an incident where the arsenal of weapons in Tosh car at St. Fence. Jacko over there was one of them. I went to St. Fence to MonaMedia rehearsal, and Jacko said to me, he said, "Why, Copeland, Peter just leaving." Saying, so he might look for you. He said, "Look for me? For what?" Man, tell him, say, "Yeah, look hard." And say, "You go to an apartment in New York and take out $150,000 and chiss." So I said, "Chiss? I'm not gonna chiss." Here, Jacko to me now. I thought, "Soft, see him over there? Boy, you want to see him have the cutlass, him have the sword, him have the dagger, him have the nunchuck, him have the baseball bat." So I said, "What?" He said, "Yes." And I've gone up to Jimmy Cliff Yard and I look for him. So I drive over to Jimmy Cliff Yard and I said, "Jimmy, stand up in the yard." And Jimmy said, "Why, Peter, just leave it and look for him." He said, "What?" To my he tell him this and thing. I said, "Oh, Jesus." So go in and look for him, stop up the desk. And when I go in the Jimmy office, I see the desk where it stop. I said, "What?" So I went to African police station and I said, "Can I go make a report?" I said, "Because I don't want to get chopped up like ever." So I went to African to go make a report. That I put Jacko over there, I said, "Copeland, you have to learn the karate, you know, nobody can kick to you." I said, "Why?" So we leave African, you know, we go down the hardware in front of our penthouse used today. And we go buy 2 cutlass. Seriously, I buy 2 cutlass and 2 fire. And I said, "But we go back up as influence because Jacko get chopped up." But then we never know Jacko get chopped up until last year when we see the video when come here come down. So the thing about it now is that, yes, it's ever. Him chop up ever. The same one that come talk last year and tell him one bullshit about him breach. He should be ashamed of himself to come and Peter Tosh him Symposium come talk because Peter can't hear to chop him again. Yeah. But anyway, this is what happened, you know. All the incident that happened. Go to the next page now. We're winding down now. Right? That's a concert that he should have done that I had set up in California at the Hollywood Bowl, and because of his girlfriend and the madness that was cancelled. This is the reunification of the Whalers that one Wheeler came to say. They did a song working together again. And it was a nice project that they had in mind, you know, of the original Whalers getting back together. So they recorded an album, but only the single came out. And I haven't read anything else. Go to the next page. Right? Now, see Peter, I tell you, he's a karate man, you know. He studied karate. He's doing on stage. Right, Jordan, I used to kick and fly over the stage. So if I never know who he's messing with. You see? So Peter used to work out and practice all them karate move. So whenever go mess with him, if I never realized what was happening, go to the next page, let me show you. Look on that kick the way they got You know, I had to find them, you know, because honestly I was hurt when I saw the video of this man came here last year, what he was talking in front of the hall, you know, and to make up this kind of stories to come and talk about in prison time and how much time he spent in a prison and from back a wall, and use Peter Tosh forum to come and say in breach. I think it's a disrespect that and come before and fabricating stories talk about Peter when he should be protecting his legacy and have respect for the man, but because because the man is not here. 28 years later, you're coming to talk about the breach. That thing hurt me until this very day. Let's move to the next one. Right? Yes. Peter do all his workout on his bike, on his bicycle. He rides down step, he rides in train station, he's in New York flying down Broadway, and that's how he keeps fit and workout. Right? Next. These are the ladies that was in Peter's life. I will start from the left. That's Marlene. And that's Grace in the middle. Sarah's daughter over there. That's Peter's daughter over there. Right, that's her daughter. And that's Melody on the right hand side here. Right, these were the last 3 women that I actually knew in the final days of Peter. And I can tell you, Peter, when it comes to love, as most I don't see rough, you know, I'm used to every Sunday morning pick me up and go to Village Farm and catch fish. And he go up to Sterling Castle and roast him. But when he coming down, he stop a crazy gym in a New Kingston near City Bank and he buy ice cream. So we are going to ice cream. My carry go over, Marlene, go give Marlene, but he drop me off, you know. And he said, 2's a company, but 3's a crowd. So he get rid of me. Then he gone over and I stay over Marlene till 11 o'clock. Then he go home, you know. But Peter was a man, when he comes home, and he love him, you know what I mean? Nothing but love. And Rock With Me was 2 songs that was designed and made for women. Go to the next one. Now, whenever we talk about that, I brought in Danny Sims, right? And Danny Sims is like the Don of reggae, and I brought in Johnny Davis, who later became the manager of Maxi Priest and the manager of Soul to Soul. Right? As far as I'm concerned, that is 2 good people I brought in. But he was standing here last year telling you all that I couldn't do nothing for Peter. But since I got involved with Peter, Peter's won a Grammy. Peter's Mama Africa album has gone platinum. Right? Peter has done a lot of shows, and he was the first artist to be invited to perform on the Billboard Awards. And the only reason why he didn't go, because when we were ready to go, he told me that his girlfriend was getting crazy and he didn't want to leave her. So we had to cancel the Billboard thing at the last minute, which was hell. We went through hell to explain that. But, you know, if these are the dance, and I bring them in to enhance the artist's career, how could it be bad? As this Eva guy was starting last year. I'm calling up the name at that too. When they're done, we can play back the video and can see. You know? But go to the next thing. Right? Now, with all that is said and done, you know, Peter right now is at the peak. Because what he fought for and suffered for over the years is now materializing, and even Jamaica now not reaping anything from it. Everybody overseas. He was given a citation award last year. See, Steve and myself received it last year from the mayor down at the Kingston Conference Center. And Peter got one of the highest award, the OM award. Now here's a man the police used to run down, broke up, beat up and do everything, right? And he got the OM award. That's his family and myself at Kid's House when he got the award. So, you know, his legacy is there to prove it, and his work is there to prove it right now. Let's go to the next one, right? This is a box set that came out for Peter, right? You have a copy right there, that one there. Wait up time, let's see the box set, right? Fantastic box set there, you know. The only thing, Peter at the estate don't get a dime out of that because somebody in New York who says his cousin getting all the money from that. Can't tell you that. That is his Grammy over there in the middle, and the one on the right is the album No Nuclear War that he got the Grammy for. So it's a great achievement. The first, and he's got it for the reggae album, right? And it's an achievement for him, you know, he got it posthumously. Next. Right? Now, we come to the sad moment. You know, that's Peter's mother there, right? Miss Elvira Cook. And the reason why I put up that picture, you see that day, I almost cried. I was coming from Negril and I decided to stop and check her. And I was sitting there the Sunday morning with her. And you know what she said to me? She said to me that boy, she needs some paint to paint the Mausoleum. I said, paint the Mausoleum, Miss Cook? She said, yeah. But she needs some money. So I said, what happened to them people who collecting Peter's royalties and all them people from the estate collecting? Boy, she waiting and there's no tourists coming up by a CD or so that. And I said, this was a shame. The woman showed me a door, she had to use a little gas cylinder to lock up the door, you know. And I said, can you imagine? You have people down here, which we don't have time to go in, I show me time now, who was appointed at the estate, and all they do is push the money in their pocket and leave Peter's children, his mother, and everybody, and the grandchildren to suffer over a number of years. And I have a copyright here, can show you when this thing down to show you that an illegal deal was done with Peter's 8th album. Right? And none of his children, or his grandchildren, or his mother, gained anything from that. And that's where I was sitting with her in the morning talking. Now, that's a fateful moment on the right-hand side here. And that's the night when the incident happened and he ended up in Ewing. And I hate to even look at it, you know, this is head towards us. Go to the next one. We're coming down now. Yeah, you jump too fast. Well, I must give thanks to the youths then, all of Peter's children, Steve, you know, Andrew. This is a Mausoleum, right? That's the entrance, and it's really like a tourist attraction now that people come and can go and pay respect to a freedom fighter for Jamaica. And go to the next one, sir. This is the interior of the Mausoleum. You know, it's very, very, very nice. Anytime you go to the West, everybody should really go and pay a visit there. And in the end, I must say that I am honored and pleased to have shared my life and to work with this legend, this Jamaica freedom fighter, and a brother who stands for nothing but justice in the world. And the thing that hurts me and upsets me though is that this gentleman here struggles every year to put this thing on, you know, with no help from no government people, nobody. And an icon like Peter Tosh, you know, who has done so much for this country, you know what I mean, and the legalization of marijuana is something that he advocated for, and he should be struggling to put this together. They used to have a Peter Tosh concert in the West. They can't have it again because there's no help, there's no funds. And I don't understand, how could that be? Because I can tell you, I have so much documents inside here that can show you, you know, where there shouldn't be a struggle to put on anything for Peter Tosh. Yesterday was his birthday. How much people knew that yesterday was Peter's birthday? Not much. You see, because there was nothing significant about it. Other artists, you would hear big things and so on. And Peter Tosh, who is a freedom fighter for Jamaica, needs more recognition. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for giving me the time to run this experience. I wish I had more time, but there were so many more things and videos that you would have enjoyed. But another time, we will get to go down because I know time is a beta constraint. So thank you for having me, and I hope I'll get a chance before my absence, and we take questions and answers. Anything you want to ask, I'm ready for it. Thank you very much.
Hails in Westmoreland, hails from Westmoreland, also Peter, hail from Westmoreland. So I thought it fitting that he be the one to come and give at least one section of the Rastafari community in terms of dealing with the herb situation in light of the decriminalization of herb and, you know, moving things forward in some shape or form. His interface to a great extent with members of the government in terms of the licensing and the criteria for smoking and not smoking herb and the restrictions and so forth. So he will give some perspective on that and link it to Peter Tosh's legacy and Peter Tosh's advocacy for freedom of the herb. So without further ado, let's welcome Ras IRV to the podium. Ras IRV.
Yeah, give thanks last night, you know. Just want to say greetings to everyone in the name of His Majesty this last night. In the name of our Empress MonaMedia. A blessing and an honor to be here. And I give thanks to see the students in general turn out for a lecture on Peter Tosh. I mean, Tommy spoke about Peter Tosh from a musical point of view, and Copeland from a musical point of view. And it good that we could sit and listen, I mean, to do these two individuals who have experienced Peter on a musical journey. I want to just look at Peter as the revolutionary. The man who stood up uncompromisingly for the rights of Rastafari and the rights of oppressed people, especially here in Jandon. Now, I give thanks again from Westmoreland because Peter and I had a very close relationship. While he was confronting the government musically, I was confronting them from a constitutional point of view. Because I know as Rastafari, and our constitutional rights were constantly being violated by the state. And it was marijuana, ganja, cannabis, whatever they want to call it, that was used as the doorway, as the avenue to bring down pressure on Rastafari and grassroots people. You hardly ever see rich people go to jail. For her, it was the Rastaman and the grassroots people. And there were times, if you were caught with a leaf or a seed, you would go to prison for 18 months, and that was mandatory. You were not charged a fine. It was mandatory 18 months. If you had a conviction and you were caught with a tree, one tree, it would be 5 years in prison. And if you had 2 convictions and you were found with 1 tree, it would be 7 years in prison. Those were the things that we, as Rastafari people and grassroots people, have gone through, especially in the 60s. It wasn't until 1972 that those laws were changed. Now, I have spent some good time with Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh, well, everybody knows Peter Tosh, love her. And being in Westmoreland, I used to juice the green ganja and bottle it and give it to Peter. He had a record shop in Salvan. Being who I am, and him had a very close relationship. We were together in Enson City, and we were together in Plymouth Avenue, at Barbican Road, where we died. Now, like Copeland referred to the situation yesterday being Peter Tosh's birthday. In a way, things have changed. And in a way, things remain the same. Because what Peter represented against society then, 30 years, 20 years ago, Peter Tosh still represents that in the eyes of today's Jamaican society. Society people will give Peter Tosh an award, but do they really recognize his works? Do they really respect Peter Tosh for what he stood for? I personally would say no. Because when you look at the economic control of Jamaica, it is still in the hands of non-black people. And in April, high time, that you know, high time, keep them high time cannabis cup all over US. Where is Jamaica today? Still trying to. Right now, I'm a member of the CLA board, Cannabis Licensing Authority board. And it's because of my agitation why I'm on that board. Now it's October. And the year might end before you hear anybody get any license to plant or manufacture. So while we still being cautious from international narcotic treaties, so as such it has international obligation to maintain certain things. So Jamaica have now actually looking at the loopholes within those international treaties to find ways and means how they can now utilize an industry in a way that I and I as a people have suffered from. Now, a lot of times we gather together as Rasta people and as African-minded black people. And we talk, but when we leave without a plan of action. Tonight, I would like to ask all of us who are gathered here, what will be our plan of action leaving here? Because if we cannot come together as a people and unite and stand up for what is ours and what is our right, 30, 40 years from now, it's as if Peter have died in vain. Because what he fought for, what he died defending, will be in the hands of foreign investors and rich people here in Jamaica. And I'm talking about ganja. We have a company called MonaMedia, and there are 2 former prime ministers on the board of directors. And there is a former governor general on the board of directors. Now these are the very same people who used to formulate laws to persecute I and grassroots people. Right? Now, looking at the situation as it is, with those type of political and financial influences, where does that leave the average grassroots individual who went to jail and get battered for this? Now, I am not going to compromise, even though I am on the board. It's either you take me as I am, or you ask me to leave. But I am there to protect the interests of those who have suffered for this. And by any means necessary, I think as a people we ought to be prepared to defend the rights of grassroots people and Rasta people. If we don't defend that, nobody else can do it for us. So, being who I am, I can look at the example of Peter Tosh. I know what he went through because of his belief, because of his knowledge, and because of his defense of marijuana and the upliftment of island people. Now, I give thanks that Westmoreland Hemp and Ganja Farmers Association is the first Ganja Farmers Association to be established in the island. When we are about to establish that, it was that Peter Tosh mother's home that we announced that we were going to set up that last year. We have been agitating for a long time, but we have never registered anything on behalf of Ganja. So I went to the SU and he said, but Rasta man, you know, so Ganja is still illegal, you know. So I said, yeah, but he said, but Ganja Association is not illegal. And he said, no, it's all right. And so we set it up. And I give thanks that that has been an example to the rest of Jamaica. So almost every parish now has a Ganja Association. But that is not enough. What we need to do as the various parish association is to come together and form a national association. That means that the government can tell grassroots people how to handle this industry. Maybe for the first time, the grassroots people would be telling the government how we want this ganja industry to run. So it is a situation that if we love Peter, and we are not here just to attend a lecture, But if we love Peter Tosh and we honor him for what he stood for, then it means other people, we need to come together and defend what he was defending. The man of Africa, and get up and stand up. So, I know there will be question and answer. I don't want to steal long, but I want the people to realize that the struggle still goes on. And respecting that there are talks about legalizing and decriminalizing. Remember, even today, the 2 ounces or less, you can still be charged for. It is only that it has become a non-arrestable offense, but you can still be charged for having a little dry herb. So, we as grassroots people, we're going to still go to jail for one little bit of herb. But we're going to have big people, investors coming in, who can plant tons upon tons. So where is the balance? Where is the justice? The people want to know.
Yeah, let's give it up once again for Rasta MB. And right about now, I'm going to make a quick announcement. We're going to have a very short musical interlude, some live performances, and we'll go into question and answers. But I've been told that for those who are interested, especially students, to attend the Morant Rebellion trial of Governor Eyre, this is part of the 150th celebration of the Paul Bogle Morant Bay Rebellion. It's happening this Sunday, October 25th, 2015, and there's a bus that is leaving from Kingston for that event. And the phone number for the contact to, if you're interested in taking this bus, is 531-8457.
8 years we've been going to Europe, and this year was my best year. Yeah, with France, with Portugal, with Italy, with Israel, and with Colombia. So we give thanks. Yeah. So you're ready to chat with him? Turn it up now. Peter Tosh, Daddy Peter Tosh, the man said he got like say every chalice and feel like so Peter Tosh. Babylon no like them and say them beat him up, no Peter Tosh. The man said he got like say every chalice and feel like so Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like them and say them beat him up. Peter Tosh was born in 1944, October 19. Oh yes, this is sure. Real revolutionary true Rastaman. Born in a great chill down the Westmoreland. Big up Peter, mother name is Alvira. I want son she about no must remember. Yes, McIntosh, the name of Peter father. He was a Christian, used to be a preacher. As a deeper youth in wrestling in the country, at the age of 50, moved to Kingston City. He used to wrestle amongst one and auntie. The time they in the link up between Bob and Bunny. Peter Tosh used to live in a Trenchtown area. Practicing guitar, he was a guitar player. Jamaican people don't hear that one here. Peter Tosh used to be an apprentice tailor. Peter Tosh. The man said he got like the herb, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. The Babylon no like the man said they beat him up, no Peter Tosh. The man said he got like the herb, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. The Babylon no like the man said they beat him up, no 1963 they got pick up and money, and that's what they tree and what's the name and the title of it. 1974 when the road gets it. The man said he got like the herb, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man said they beat him up, no Peter Tosh. The man said he got like the herb, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man said them. Release a lot of singles and plenty LP. 1976 a legalized LP. 1977 equal rights LP. 1978 a Bush Doctor LP. 1979 a Mystic Man LP. One picture alive by 81 LP. Mama Africa done 1983. 1988 Peter won the Grammy. Peter touched the man named Bird, Son and Power. At the time they used to call him Stepping Razor. When they used to live up in a St. Andrew area. And he used to be a one-wheel cycle rider. 1983 just listen to this statement. Peter Tosh car meet in a big accident. I hold upon the fight, no degree history. In the accident they lost his girlfriend named Ivan. Peter Tosh. The man said he can like the early Chinese and feel like a Peter Tosh. Nobody land like the man said they beat him up. No Peter Tosh. The man said he can like the early Chinese and feel like a Peter Tosh. Nobody land like the man said they beat him up. No. Big up Peter Tosh got him a real superstar. His last album became the Nuclear War. 11th of September 1987. Them keep Peter Tosh but we don't know the reason. A one gunshot him get in nine head. That brown and free and him next two friend dead. A four gunmen, listen to me history. Left up your whiskey and my game. Santa get a few shots but you never dead. Mice get a few shots, but you never dead. Marley get a gunshot, but you never dead. And no gunshot like a big shoot out. Mama try get a shot in her foot and her mouth. Jah bless them soul because they never drop out. Big up Peter, sons and daughters and out. Instrument them on them my economy, I see them out. Big up Portland Farm and Irving Miller. The two used to be Peter Tosh manager. 2012 no must remember. Receive the order Mary Francis Portia. Peter Tosh. The man said legalize the earth, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh. The man said legalize the earth, the chalice of feel like so Peter Tosh. No Babylon no like the man so them. Alright, we'll be a Babylon sick with a son, we don't need them, call them, board them up. Moses party, see it around. Fear of the man, the one of them sad. Children of Israel, the one of them glad. Sons and daughters, mans of God. Israel king is Israel God. For the Lord that they must happy and glad. Like you to be a make a man down. Roll! Get back and answer ready to go. Rastafari, get back and go. Hide this in a sense, you don't find truth. They eat them, lean them, suck them more. Pies your body like them, come as well. Rock out the king and the deep in the Lord. Mash up the army, give a little fool man. Man, that big man, after that big man, the king and them. Rubber and man, so that again, man, after that. Peter, man, and them, after that. So Peter Tosh. The Babylon no like them and so them beat him up. No Peter Tosh. The man say legalize the earth, the Chinese and feel like so Peter Tosh. Here I Selassie, I Jah Rastafari. Yeah man, we briefly want to say something Michael. You know, so they come back on here with Prime Minister from Jamaica. Slave master being compensated with 20 million sterling pound. If you should check the money then now, it would be 17 billion sterling pound. And you know that slave master have never been paid for their servitude. You know what? The so-called thing what we have here called emancipation. Our ancestors have to pay 27 million sterling pound for this thing we call emancipation. They never have the money, but guess what? Britain said to them, so listen now, you say I don't have the money. We don't have to become slave who we are in for 46 years. 46 years. And here Mr. Cameron come and say, we not supposed to ask you reparation. Lightning, thunder, earthquake, Selassie.
You just like me all to introduce yourselves because they don't know the names, right? So Steve, this is Peter's first son there in green, right? That's Steve right there. So Steve, go down the line and just introduce the rest. Akeda.
Daughter. Toby.
That's Toby. That's her mother you saw in the middle of the stage. Nurul. Michelle.
Nabi.
Right.
From Belgium.
Hold on. It's Nabi this?
Yeah.
From Belgium?
Yeah.
No. This is Peter's last son. The last time I saw him, he was 3 years of age. He was born in Belgium. And then I saw him about 7 years ago. And this is the first time I see, I look at this guy, I said, this guy look like Nabi. That's Peter's last son that was born in Belgium. Nabi. Toby on the left. Then you have your own Michelle, right? And Michelle's husband. That's the Tosh's family over there. Some of them, Peter had 10 children, right? And I'm so happy to see you all. Nabi, go ahead, after you. Steve, you were the first, and Romani come after you. And I was so happy that last year it was Steve and myself received the award for Peter for publicizing and promoting marijuana to the state where it's now being legalized. But we're not getting any money yet, you know. But I'm working on it, don't worry. All right, that's the Tosh's family right over there.
But my friend him come at town on him one-wheel bicycle. A bunker man him come check, you know, and tell me how much vampire him kick out of your house, you know. Yeah, man. And the night when this thing happened to Peter, you know, me and fly out at JBC and fly, said to me, say, I want you follow me go up Peter yard, you know. And someone come and call me and I go with them, you know, and Peter go and fly go up there, go meet him there, you know. And the man who actually do it, as some of them know from Trenchtown. But a fire burn upon the whole of them, you know. And he came to show me my Bilal radio station and them thing there, you know. You understand? So Peter live on forever and his family live on forever and the youth them know so true me attack. I mean I talk from my lungs and my heart me attack from. You understand? So I want to not give me the name of you don't want to. You don't want to.
when you turn and you walk through the door, it hurts me so. Say it hurts me so. And you look at me and you say goodbye. You make me cry. Say you make me cry, my darling. Oh, so listen to me while I say, you can hear it. Everybody knows. Looking at the whole wide world, walking the cha-cha. You can have the silver and gold. You can have the ruby and diamonds. You can have all the pretty things in this old wide world. But I'm never gonna give you up. No matter what they do, I'm never gonna give you up. No matter what they say, oh no, oh no. Thank you.
And he's opening up the Peter Tosh Museum shop. Told me, right, Jacko? When he came to you and said to you that he's looking for me because Marley told him that I can go to his apartment and can go to $150,000 chiss. But when I met him in Meadowbrook, he was asking me if I did put chiss in the house. I said no. So I must ask Irby. I asked Irby. Irby said you don't know about that chiss in the house. But I was actually that I about the online video. But it was part of the madness that was going on. 1984 was a mad year. I can tell you that. And that's when they were getting chopped up. But they didn't tell me the things of last year. We may emphasize it. Who's ever? Eva is just, he's a friend of Marley. And he came on to work with us as a journalist. But he had ulterior motive. I don't know what his name was. And then what happened is that he came here last year, 28 years after Peter passed, and come and stand up in front of it. And at Peter Tosh Symposium and talk about a breach. And this breach was while we were to respect with the man's wife. That's his disrespect. And I asked the organizers, when these people come to talk about Peter's legacy, check out their background. That they come and talk something like that when the man not here to chop it one more time, you know? That thing hurt me, you know what I mean? You know, I had the videos that I was showing some of them, but this thing don't work like all this thing work. You know, with dog wise and them doing all the moves, so I had the man still picture. You see that foot in the air? Oh my God, if ever they ever get that and I shoot, he would come over and come talk that bullshit, you know what I mean? No, it hurt me, you know, it hurt me bad, that somebody can come to a Peter Tosh Symposium and come disrespect a man like that. And the other person wasn't learning when coming to talk about they was seizing Peter House and all kinds of things. They don't come to Peter Symposium and talk those things, man. It's disrespect. Next question, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, Steve James, specific man.
Carlton was Peter's cousin.
Yeah.
He was the man who left the whole karate from start out.
Oh, you mean Carlton teach Peter karate? Yeah. Oh, Carlton was Peter's cousin. And Carlton was the cook on the tour. And it was when we were in Swaziland, they married Carlton for a spliff. And just as I was going to carry him away, the walls broke down and the people were jumping over, so the police run with Carlton. I forget to arrest him again. You know, that's how Carlton got away.
It's about 9 feet high. Yeah, well, I showed it. You know. By the time we find it, you know what I mean?
This is how Peter exercises, you know, in karate moves them, you know what I mean?
Next.
Kuplan, what was the exact time frame that the Tamlins worked with Peter?
The Tamlins were with Peter from in early 70s, right? Early. And they left in 1981. I was in Austria when the breakup started because Sly Robbie had to go on the road to work with Black Uhuru. And Carlton, they must be down on earth about them want more money. I said, Carlton, don't follow Sly and Robbie, they know where them bread and butter is. And I never forget it till they come to me and said, tell Herbie and his wife must go sing harmony. And he follow Sly and Robbie. And he leave. And that's when they were out. But I took them back in 1982. No. They left. Yeah, that was 82. Because I tell you what happened, you know, we were all in the room, you know, talking. And we talking about the harmonies because they didn't do much harmonies on the Mama Africa album. It was Betty Wright, Donald Kids, and Palm, Raymond, quite a few people. So the harmonies were a little off. So everybody was in my room discussing it. Santa was sitting on the ground between two beds. And all of a sudden I hear bang on the door. So everybody stopped. When the door opened, I said, Carlton walks. And the other two, Thomas walks. Everybody was quiet. So we said, what is that for? Tama. So we said, fully, he was on the floor, Tama. And then we go back to Santa and said, you say that? Santa was sitting on the ground. And before you know it, I see a knife, so in the ear. And then the room empty. Sterling gone, Janet gone. Fully run, Santa jumped through a window. And he's the only one left in the room and looking at a man with a big knife. I don't know what I'm not going to do. I thought I lost their mind. But I know that Santa is not going to run away from coming back. Because the day before they was inside a little store and they buy some semi-machete in that store. I don't know why. And all of a sudden I hear the passage through me and look. I see Santa coming with a semi-machete. And Steve coming behind him and then Peter come up and shout and say, oh, what's it to go on? And then they tell people, I didn't stir and I run for Peter, but he run past Peter running so fast. That he was ashamed, he was afraid to come back down. And I was the only one standing here looking at Tamlins them with a knife in the man. But it ended when I said to Peter, take away the knives from everybody. So take a Santa knife, and take a Junior knife. Carlton didn't want to give up his. I said, Carlton, give up the knife. He didn't want to give it up. And I said, Peter, shake up. And the door says to karate, keep coming. You know, so I just move out of the way, you know, and just go back on the knife and just give Peter. And I wouldn't believe it, you know. Music is so powerful. They didn't talk for about 4 or 5 days. Luckily, we had those days off. And the next year I was worried because Santa says he's not playing if they are on stage. Right? So we don't know what to do. This is way in Australia. But this that night, they did a show. Until this very day, I've never seen them perform like that. When they finish, they start making fists and forget that they're supposed to be fighting. And this is how much music is so strong that it brought them together that they totally forget about what happened. But I think the news can travel. You see, before we leave Australia and come back, the news was all down Channel 1 that Tamils make Santa jump through a 14th floor and they put on 10 on floors. Yeah, that's what was circulated. It was the first floor. Yeah, you know.